Okay, let's talk about windows for a bit because it's really popular for people to outline windows. And for me, the most important thing when putting lights around a window is the symmetry. I want it to be a sort of a symmetrical look, both top to bottom and side to side. And there's definitely a lot of different things you have to consider when putting lights around a window. I want to first talk in terms of this being a wood window. A lot of the principles that we will learn about here will apply to vinyl siding. It's just that with vinyl siding it's a whole lot easier because once again around the edge here there's a track where you can pinch onto. You can just put those lights anywhere you want. But with wood, really your only choice is to either staple, which I don't like to do as we've already talked about, or to put hardware into the brick mold, which is what this trim is called. Right here on the outside of the window, that's called brick mold. On the inside, when you have that sort of frame around the window, they just call it trim. But this brick mold actually goes into the siding. It's kind of bulky. It's not just a trim piece on the outside. We'll take a look at the brick mold, a sort of a cross-sectional view here in a sec. This piece across the bottom is called the sill. And then the two windows that move, they're each called a sash. What I like to do, again, is symmetry. So whenever you are trying to get symmetry, the first thing you want to do is know what this distance is, and that'll be the same on the bottom, and also what this distance is here. And it'll be the same on this side as that side. The reason is because when you're working with lights with 1 foot spacing, you need to know where those light bulbs are going to land, and you don't want a light bulb to be right on or near the corner. It's just not a good idea to have a light bulb right there where a bend is. You need a wire because you're going to want to pull on it to keep it straight, and then you're going to tie wrap the wire to a piece of hardware. You don't want a light bulb in the way. You never want a light bulb in the way in a spot where you're going to put a tie wrap. Let's say this here is 58 inches. That's about 5 feet. Let's just assume you're going to go with 5 bulbs. If it's 5 foot, that means right dead center in the middle you'll have 1. Then a foot up you'll have 2. A foot up you'll have 3. Same thing down here. But then what you end up with, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulbs, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4 feet of space between those 5 bulbs, right? But then you're going to have another 6 inches here and 6 inches here because, again, you have about 5 foot. Actually, because it's 58 inches, you're going to have about 5 inches there and 5 inches there. And that's exactly what you want. Once again, you don't want the light bulb on the corner. What you want is, let's just do an expanded view. What you really want is somewhere near the space in the middle between 2 light bulbs. That's what you want on the corner so it can bend right there where there's wire. And again, that's where you're going to attach it with a tie wrap. So let's look on the top. Let's say the top is 4 feet. Okay? So with 4 feet, you might think you need 4 bulbs, right? And if that's the case, that means the first thing you want to do is you want to find the center point. And that's where you're probably going to end up putting a piece of hardware. And then 6 inches on either side of that is where the first 2 bulbs go. Then another foot and a bulb, another foot and a bulb. So what do we have here now? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 light bulbs, but we have 1, 2, 3 feet of wire in between those 4 light bulbs, which means you still have 6 inches and 6 inches, which again is perfect. We've already determined we've got 6 inches to this corner, straight line, 5 inches to this corner, straight line, but actually what you're going to end up with is a 12-inch piece of wire between those 2 bulbs. This scenario right here is almost perfect. That's almost exactly how you want it to work out, but it doesn't always work out that way. Let's change this scenario. I'm going to actually completely redraw this and do more of a close-up view of the top. Let's say our space here is actually 3.5 feet, okay? What are you going to do in that case? Well, you got a couple choices. If you find the center point, mount your hardware, then go 6 inches on either side. You go another foot, of course. Now you've got 4 bulbs. You've got 1, 2, 3 foot, 4 bulbs. You got another half foot for both sides. That means a 1/4 foot. So that means what? Just 3 inches and 3 inches. That actually would still work in this scenario because remember over here we had about 5 inches. You need 5 there, you need 3 here, that's a total of 8, but we know that we have 12 inches in between each bulb, so you've got an extra 4 inches of play in there, which is important. You're always going to end up with some extra play there. You want it. You don't want to have exactly the right amount because it's just difficult to work with. You need to have a little extra to sort of grab onto and pull tight so you can hit your tie wrap. And so what it really ends up looking like is you end up with sort of a loop like that on each corner. Remember, the wire doesn't matter as much as it's where do these bulbs land, because these bulbs are what you're going to see at night.